Rahman Rahim. The discussion about the bureaucracy is going on and I think you are not tired of this, because you have got the idea that the bureaucracy is the fundamental plays a fundamental role in any of the service delivery, and if we want to improve the system or the plight of our people, we should have to concentrate on the bureaucracy. So rather than going firmly, I would give you what we covered in the previous lecture. We just talk about that what are the major causes of the downfall of the bureaucracy. It should be remembered then when we are talking about the downfalls of the bureaucracy, we assume that in itself or by default the bureaucracy is not inefficient. There are certain factors over the years and years that have restricted the performance of the bureaucracy. So what are the factors? These are not the, you can say, some of the mistake things. These are not the open secret and talk of the town, that the bureaucracy, the corruption is the one of the significant reason for this. Again, I would like to say that the people just, when there is a word of corruption, people think that this is a corruption of giving and taking of money. No, misuse of power, this is also corruption. For example, if I am a teacher and I enter a class after 15 or 20 minutes, this is also a corruption. So the corruption have different meanings and different dimensions. So it should be removed if we want to improve the bureaucracy. And what are the other things? The nepotism, the favoritism, the politicization of the bureaucracy, these all are linked with the demise or the fall of the bureaucracy. Now the immediate question arises that how to improve this. This can be improved. This is not, as you can say, we should not be hopeless. Although it is a Herculean task and it is a gigantic problem that needs you can say immediate attention from the policy makers, otherwise the time will be over and there will be no room for recovery. Still we can bounce back and we can mend our ways and we can go into the right direction. So this discussion is going. The sixth is impersonal official obligation. So how we can improve the freedom of work? This is very, very important, that freedom of work. If I am assigned a duty and I am given the opportunity that I could behave in freedomly and freely, then I will be able to perform. But if there are some restriction, I have fear from this corner, fear from that corner. If I go against this one, what will happen? If I go against this one, this will happen. When the bureaucracy works under the threat, particularly to their job and particularly to their interest, they are not working in the efficient ways. You can exemplify from any of the institution, any of the organization, this is happening there. The people are not allowed to work independently. Committees are there, heads are there, members are there, but the committees have only the authority in the papers, but in reality you will see that the head is totally helpless and authorityless, and he cannot behave this. Authority, now the authority is in itself you can say the cause of corruption. So the authority, how, when you are going to authorize a person, how you should authorize the authority subject to the impersonalization. The bureaucrat should use the authority impersonalization. You have the fear, the bureaucrats have the fear of God. If we just ignore that, we are not talking about the Muslims and the non-Muslim, because if the Muslims have the fear of God, they will not go in this way. However, we are assuming that we are living in a traditional society, and the authority should be exercised only impersonalization. If you will allow a person to work freely, you can expect that he will be working impersonalization. Otherwise, if you are interfering, you are politicizing the system, there is the less chances that there will be impersonalization. Office work and personal work should be separated. This is happening again in all the institutions. For example, if I use the car of the university, I will go to my own business. So there should be clear demarcation between what is my personal or the homework and what is the work of the office work. So it should not be intermixed. There should be separated time. Up to this level, I have to sit on my seat in the office, and on this or that. This is not happening in the bureaucracy. You can see many bureaucrats, when they want to travel for their own purpose, they just write into the logbook that they are going to travel for this or that person, and ultimately they get their interest on the cost of the government. The cost of the government is nothing, it is the cost of the society. Government is what? Government is uses the resources of our taxes that are the public. So this could be reduced, that there should be clear delimitation that this is the housework and that is the office work. Political transfer and recruitment should be completely eradicated. ये दीमक की तरह चाट रही है हमारी politicization. It is need that there should be the political transfer should be completely stopped. There should not be the politicization, and the recruitments that are made on again the merit. Simply saying here that the transfer should be made on merit, the recruitments they should also be done on the merit, otherwise the situation will remain the same. Bridging, the seventh suggestion on our part is that bridging the gaps between rulers and the ruled. The rulers are the bureaucracy, the ruled are the public, you and me. One person at the same time, he is the ruler and the ruled. For example, if I am sitting in my office, I am the ruler, and when I am standing in the court or standing in the police station, then I am, you can say, I am the being ruled. पाकिस्तानी ब्यूरोक्रेट के बारे में खास बात जो है यहाँ लिखी है, पाकिस्तानी ब्यूरोक्रेट is considered as an individual having all the powers and authorities of taking decision. It is a misperception. That's why people more expect from the bureaucrat. I think you have gone through this technicality. What I am saying, that it is assumed that the Pakistani bureaucrat has all the three functions. He has the powers and authority of that to take the decision. To some extent it is correct, and our bureaucrat unfortunately show and behave in such a way that the people are convinced that they have the legal authority and the power of taking all the decision. This is not necessarily true. Most of the time the bureaucrats have just to implement and follow the laws framed by the policy maker. But about Pakistani bureaucrats, this is the misperception, or you can say the perception. That's why this is one of the fundamental reasons the people more expect from you. For example, if you are a good player, and you are just making show off that you are a very good player, good style, just taking guard, and your body language says that you are Sachin Tendulkar, the people will expect from you that you will have to perform. ये नहीं है कि वहाँ पर आप जो है फिर जो है you are performing zeros and this kind of thing. The more expectation, the more you have to perform. This makes high civil servant superiors. जब ये उनके बारे में जो है discussion होती है, the civil servants thinks that they are some the creature of some other planets. They do not think that they belong to the earth, because they think that they are superior and they want to rule the people. This is a very, you can say, the bad side of the picture, dark side of the picture, that the civil servant think this. Civil servant should think that they should deliver to the nation, they should deliver to the populace, so that their problems are minimized. They want public to bow and obey of them. This is the lust of the power. They sit on their chairs, go to any of the police station, go to the SPs, go to the IGs. You can't imagine that what is this. You will be thinking that I have the bitter experience. No. Fortunately, and thanks God that I have never the experience of this, but I have listened many tale from the people, and that this could be, and this is the situation that the civil servants look master, and they want to torture the people, they want to threat the people, and think that the people are just standing before them in such a way. That's why they become happy. This is not. This is only the property of the God, that we should bow before Him. Otherwise, there is no person before which we have to bow. But this is, if the bureaucracy thinks this, it means they want to be the attributes of the Almighty Allah. This is not. This is totally wrong concept, and the bureaucracy should not follow this. When there is this concept, this makes them arrogant and corrupt. When I have the state power, I want the people to go before me. I will be using different, you can say, unethical tactics to force people that they just come to me, they request me, and I will be very happy that their problem is solved by me. So in this way, I will become more and more arrogant and you can say rude and corruption. This is also one way of the corruption. This is new dimension of the corruption, that if a civil servant expect that the people bow before him, this is also that he is demanding what he should not demand. Misuse of power. इससे जो है वो बचाना चाहिए. If there is any of the mechanism that ensures that the bureaucrat is not using his power in misusing his power, it could be fruitful in reducing the bridging the gaps between rulers and rule. Now our discussion about the bureaucracy is over. Now we are going to the Pakistani system, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, and we will have a detailed discussion about this, and on occasions, on and on, I would like to give a critical analysis of this, that what happened and what were the desires of the people, and what gaps still exist there, and how it can be improved. So what is our next topic? We are going to see the organization of the 3 tiers of the government. The first is the federal, the other is the provincial, and the last one is the local government in Pakistan. Most of the time, I am sure that I will be concentrating on the highest tier, that is the federal government, and I will be giving you a glimpse, or you can say a bird's eye view of the provincial, and not necessarily that I will be concentrating on the local government, looking at the time limitations, because we have to go through all the course. The organization of federal and provincial government in Pakistan is governed by the Constitution of 1973. We see that the 1973 Constitution, that is again restored in its origin form, this is the rule of the law in Pakistan. Although there are the constitutional orders like 1981, then we say that this is read with this is the, you can say, the law technicalities. I am not going into detail of this. So there are the amendments in the 1973 Constitution. However, broadly and generally speaking, I can say that our rule, our business, or the political or the government is being run according to the guidelines provided in the Constitution of 1973. Rather than going further, I would like to give you a brief history, introduction of the 1973 Constitution. This was the 3rd Constitution of Pakistan. The first was 56, the other was 62, and this was the 1973, the more comprehensive Constitution of the Pakistan. Although it may have some of the flaws that are now being removed by these amendments, but still it is a very, very comprehensive law. It was, you can say, that framed in 1973 under the leadership of the Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, when there was the fall of the Dhaka, and Pakistan, now at that time West Pakistan, and now the Pakistan was going through a very critical, and the people used to say that we are the nation without the Constitution. So we have now the constitution, and that is the 1973. Now we will see that according to the 1973 constitution, what is the structure of the legislature, what is the structure of the judiciaries, and what is the structure of the executive. So if we see, there are the three tiers of this, rather than the tiers, you can say the pillars, that if I concentrate on this is the federal government. There are three branches of the federal government. The first is the executive. Executive is that implements the policies. The other is the legislature that frame the policies. And here is the judiciary that protect the constitution. It means the constitution is provided by the judiciary, the rules of the business by the legislature, the rules of running the government are provided by the legislature. This is the policy framework, this is the implementation, and you can see, in other words, that it interprets or protect the constitution. The constitution, if any of the law is framed by the legislature, the wording can be interpreted only by the judiciary. You may have your meaning, I may have my meaning, and you have seen many cases in the higher judiciary, apex court, that are according to this, that ultimately judiciary has to decide that what is the true meaning, interpretation and context of any of the you can say the article of the constitution. So now we will go in detail that what is the executive, how it runs the system, legislature as well as the judiciary. The legislative branch, these are the elected people. These frame the policies and these are the elected representative. The head of the state is the president. In Pakistan, this is also the head of, in Pakistan there is the parliamentary form of government, and the honorary head, or you can say the formal head of the state is president. Although under the constitution and the new amendments, the president has the very least power according to the true spirit of the parliamentary system. But in the previous years you can see that there was President Ayub Khan, and there were much power lies with the president, as the Sadr Pakistan General Muhammad Ziaul Haq, President of Pakistan General Musharraf. So they used to empower the institution, or you can say the post of the president. Now after this, it means the president is at the highest level, he is the ceremonial head of the state. Then there is the parliament. In Urdu it is called the Majlis-e-Shura, and it has two pillars. Majlis-e-Shura has a combination of two institutions. One is the National Assembly, to which we call lower house, and the other is the Senate, that is the upper house. And what in Urdu we call, that is our national language, this is called the lower house, Iwan-e-Ziri, and this is called the upper house, that is Iwan-e-Bala. So the National Assembly and Senate constitute the parliament, that is also called the Majlis-e-Shura. If I would like to speak in Urdu, Iwan-e-Ziri और Iwan-e-Bala जो है मिलकर जो है वो Majlis-e-Shura की जो है वो तश्कील करते हैं, and at the head of this is the president, that is the constitutional head of the country. Now we start, what is the Senate, how the composition of the Senate. Senate is an institution that has been formed to give the equal representative to all provinces. Why this happens? Because in the national assemblies, the seats to the provinces are allocated on the basis of the population. So what happens? Definitely the bigger province like the Punjab and the Sindh, they get more national assembly seats as compared to the Balochistan and the KPK. To remove their grievances, to remove their reservations, then there is the Senate. Senate has the equal representation of all the provinces. How many? It has the 104 members, we will see that what is the composition of this. These have the equal members from all the provinces and elected for 6 years. These are not directly elected, these are indirectly elected. And how these are indirectly elected? These are elected on the basis of number of seats in your provincial assemblies. For example, if 10 members are selected from each, definitely there is the equivalence. So 10 members are selected from each province. So if in the Punjab where there are 371 seats, अगर ये सूरत हाल है तो 37 मेंबर बन के मिलके एक सेनेटर का जो है वो इंतखाब जो है वो करेंगे. सो इट इज़ नॉट डायरेक्टली लाइक द नेशनल असेंबली मेंबर दैट यू गो टू द पब्लिक, यू कन्वेस्ट योर वोटिंग एंड द पीपल डायरेक्टली कास्ट देयर वोट अगेंस्ट योर नेम. दिस इज सम इनडायरेक्टली इलेक्टेड फॉर दिस. And what is the tenure of senators? It is 6 years, the highest tenure of any of the other institution. For example, the Prime Minister is for the 5 year, President is for the 5 year, National Assembly member is the 5 year, and Army Chief is for the 3 years. And luckily the previous Chief Justice has more than the 5 years. So what this means, that every 3 years, after 3 years, the half of the parliament members get retired. 6 साल जो है वो शुरू में जो है वो आते हैं. Suppose today we form the Senate. If we form the Senate, 104 members are there. After 3 years, this is the first term. Half of the member will have to be retired by random, by you can say the randomly selection. When half of the name of all the people will be put into the box on the, you can say, the paper, and then you will draw half number of those boxes, and all those members will be considered that they are the retired, and remaining will go for the next year. And then the process start. Every 3 years, half of the Senate member retire, and there is the new, you can say, there is new half persons who enter into the Senate. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि हर 3 साल बाद सेनेट जो है वो 50% जो है वो नए लोगों पर जो है वो आ जाती है. इस सेनेटर कैन बी इलेक्टेड many times, no restriction on this, but we say that as the 50% member retire after 3 years, there is the possibility that the new faces enter into the system. 17 seats are reserved for women. We will see that what is the composition of this. Elected indirectly through the system of proportion representation. जिस पार्टी की सीट्स ज़्यादा होती हैं वो जो है वो ज़्यादा जो है वो सेनेट में जो है उसके मेंबर जो है वो चले जाते हैं. Composition of Senate. If we look at the federal capital, there are 2 general seats from the federal capital. Do you know who is the federal? Where is the federal capital? We are sitting at this time in the federal capital in your studio of the ComSets, and this is the Islamabad. Seat reserved for women. 1 seat is reserved for the women, and 1 for the technocrat. The selection criteria is the same, and there are 4 total seats into the in this federal capital. If we go to the Punjab, the bigger province, in national assemblies, there is a huge difference between the seats for the Punjab and the other province. But as I said, that this institution has equal representation from all. So from Punjab, 4 seats are reserved for women, 4 are reserved for technocrats, and 1 for the non-Muslim. Here there is no for the non-Muslim, and the total number of seats is 23 in the province, in the Punjab province. It means what we are expecting, that in all the province, Punjab, Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Sindh, there are the total number seats is equal to 23. Then there will be the 4 from the 4 from the federal capital, and we will see also that there are some of the seats from the federally administered tribal areas. If we talk about the Sindh, there are 14, the general seat exactly equal to Punjab. Again, there are 4 reserved seats for women, 4 for technocrats and 1 for the non-Muslim, and again the total is 23. देखें कि what is the beauty of this system, कि छोटे सूबों को भी अब इक्वल उसमें जो है वो क्या है, नुमाइंदगी जो है वो मिलना जो है वो शुरू हो गई. KPK, there are the 14, again the similar situation, say this no difference, not a slight difference, and ultimately the total is 23. If I go to the Balochistan, this is 14 again, 4 this, and 1, and again the 23. So these 4 provinces, 1, 2, 3 and 4, they have 23. If you multiply 23 by 4, you will be getting 1 here, 92. Go to the federally administered tribal areas, there are total 8 general seats, not for reserved for women. No logic behind this. There could be any of the logic for this, but however this is the difference. This is not the deliberately created difference, it is due to the cultural limitation of this, and I think this government will work over this, and it will try to resolve this issue, because from federal there should have been the representation of the non-Muslim technocrats as well as the women. No seat reserved for women, no for technocrats, and no for the non-Muslim. And there are total the similar 8 seats. And if we now add up all these, it will be 92, and here is 8, 100, and first 4 from the federal capital. This is the composition of the Senate. That is the upper house. Ivane Bala जो है वो इसमें है, तो इसमें जो है for the election of the president, Senate also cast votes the 4 provincial assemblies, because he is the provincial head of, he is the head of the state, and in states all the institutions are there. But for the selection of prime minister, we will see that only the National Assembly is sufficient. In total, general seats are 66, 17 reserved for women, 17 for technocrats, and it should have been the total of this 1, 2, 3, 4 for the non-Muslim, and then it is equal to 104. Now we are coming towards the National Assembly, the lower house, or the Ivane Ziri. 342 members, very large number of people. The population of Pakistan is very high, and it is more than 180 million. 42 members. In the next slide, I will be giving you a bit comparison of that, how much seats have been increased over only 2 elections, 2002 and 2005, कि इसमें जो है वो कितनी तब्दीली है. Out of this, these are 272. These are the general seats that are directly elected. 60 for women, 272, 60 for women, 10 for non-Muslim, and it leads towards the 342. If you add up this, there it will be 332, and this is 342. General seats are filled by direct and free vote, जिसके लिए आप और मैं बड़ी भाग दौड़ करते हैं. There is grouping, lobbying, brotherhoodism, demand for the ticket, political system on political basis, इसमें जो है वो होती है. The party with more seats in National Assembly wins more seats for women as they are not directly elected. अब women की जो है वो ये 60 seats किसके पास जाती हैं? It is based on the proportion. The party that wins more seats in the National Assembly, that has more right to nominate women for the election, और फिर वही जो है वो मिलके उसको जो है वो forward करते हैं, then they are elected indirectly. Here is the composition of National Assembly seat. This is the federal area, and these are the general seats, and there are 2 years, 1997 and 2009. Sorry for the previous statement. I talked about 2002 and 5. There is no difference between 2002 and 2005. Since 2002, there is no change in this system. So some credit goes to the dictators that Musharraf did. One capital, it means the seats in the capital have been increased, doubled. 1970, there was no seat for women. Again, here is no seat for women reserved for this. ये भी काम तमाम हुआ. No for Muslim, no for in 2001. Total 1997 में एक थी और 2002 में जो है वो कितनी हो गई? 2 हो गई. Punjab, that is the biggest province by population. Look at here, there are 115. There were 115 in 1997, and now there are 148 seats. Almost just less than the half of the National Assembly. And definitely it should not be strange. The Punjab has the more than half of the population of the Pakistan. So it is according to the logic. In 1997, there was no role of the women. Women could contest the direct on the general seats, but there were no reserve seats for the women in 1997. 35 seats were in the 2002. Again, no lift to the non-Muslims in 1997 or 2002. But 115 total. And what are here? Now there are 183. अब जो है वो उसकी 183 हो गई हैं. If you look at here, these are the total seats for the non-Muslim, and this is also for the non-Muslim. ये एक criteria है that could not be increased even after the 5 years. It means everything is changing. This scenario is not changing. This shows that this is a bit biased. Every system has some of the drawbacks. It can be improved. Go to the Sindh. If you look at the Sindh, 46 previous in 1970 general seats, now 61 reserved for the women. यहाँ जो है comparison सही है कि now it were 46 in 1997 and almost 70% increases, that these are the 75. NWFP में आ जाएं जी. 26 जो है वो इसमें थी, 35, 8 जो है वो वुमेन की. यहाँ से कंपैरिजन सही है. 26 फॉर वुमेन, 26 in 1997 and 43. So only 43 National Assembly seats from the KPK. That was previously NWFP. FATAs, 8 were previously. Now in National Assembly there are 12. Not reserved for women in 1990. तो ये वही प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है. 8 and again this is the 12. Balochistan, only 11 in 1997, now 14. 3 in reserved for the women, and if we see here 11 to 17, and now look, if we look at the total, in 1997 there were general reserve seat in the general seats in the National Assembly were 2007, that have been increased to 272 in 2002. 60 for the women. There were no single seat. It means a significant achievement on the part of the dictator. Dictator gave empowerment to the women. It was his good decision despite his many bad decisions. 10 Muslim, for non-Muslim 10 again here. In previously elected in 1997, when the Nawaz Sharif was thrown out of the business, there were 217 seats, and now there are 342 seats from all over the Pakistan. So this was the bifurcation, or you can say the composition of this. The purpose was to just introduce you, because you are the public administration and this is the course, and you should have aware about this. Provincial assemblies में जो है वो अगर हम आ जाएं, we look at the seats of the provincial assemblies. Very high number of seats. These are the generals. इसमें आप ये देखें कि कोई इसमें इलॉजिकल बात नहीं है. द पंजाब इज द बिगेस्ट प्रोविंस बाय पॉपुलेशन एंड द वोट्स आर बीइंग डन बाय द पॉपुलेशन नॉट बाय द टेरिटरी. 66 reserved for women. It is almost, you can say, more than the 20% for women. 8 for non-Muslim, and the total is 371. Sindh, there are 130 provincial seats in the PS. Sindh province, there are 30 for women. Look at here, if I double this will be 260. And similarly, so it means the proportion is on some of the specific formula. 8 for non-Muslims and 168 for total seat for this. The non-Muslims are more in the Sindh province. What is this? The 51 here, general seats, 11 for reserved for women, and 3 for this. So this is the 65, and for KPK just one less than the century, 22 reserved for women and the non-Muslims, and this is total. Now what is the grand total of this? I am leaving it to you to work out this. There may be some of the difference of 1 or seat here. I may suspect, but I am sure that this is correct. You can add up this, and it can you can see what is this. The logic and the philosophy and the mantak behind this was to tell you that how the composition of the provincial assemblies, the national assemblies, the Senate, that these are the you can say the from these factors the governments are being run. Judicial branch, the very famous branch nowadays, because the people talk about the judicial activism, particularly after the regain of the revival of the Iftikhar Muhammad Chaudhry in 2009, when he was restored by the democratic government led by the Yusuf Raza Gilani. And after that, he gave very tough time to the government. Even those persons were called to the courts that were believed to be, you can say, above the courts. And the army chief has to retired army chiefs, the other army personnel, IGs, and many other people has to present themselves before the judiciary. And 2 prime ministers, one was sacked by the judiciary and the other just escaped at the 11th hour by fulfilling the demands of the judiciary. So although there was the judicial activism led by Chaudhry Iftikhar, but what we are interested, it gives some independence to the judiciary. Can we say that it was over independence? This is the debatable, but I would like to say that although the trend was set, for example, if this was the trend, slow trend, if now in Iftikhar Chaudhry, this was that. This is the legal arm of the government. The judiciary provides the legal assistance to the government, that when government is unsure about any of the legality of any of the function, it goes towards it contacts the judiciary, and judiciary decides and interprets the constitution. Most of the time there have we can see many of the conflicts between the judiciary and the administrative arm of the government over the years. But now the situation has changed. Now there is a culture of the tolerance. What happened? Now the politician has learned that if they will fight with any of the institution, who will be the beneficiary? The lion will be the beneficiary. And who are the lion? The establishment. The army is the lion. That's why they are not, they compromise, they go on the front foot, they come on the back foot, give and take, but never allowing the situation to reach the point of no return. This is a good gesture for the well-being of the common people and the you can say the development of the Pakistan. Constitution provides for the separation of the judiciary from the executive and the independence of the judiciary. It is clearly written in the 1973 Constitution that the judiciary is an independent organ. It has nothing to do with the executive, and it is a total separated, independent and free institution. But over the years, although in all the institution this was written, but over the year we can see that the judiciary remain a baby child of the executives, and whenever the executive, whatever he wants, the judiciary endorse that. For example, we start from the Maulvi Tamizuddin case. Justice Munir invented the ideology of Nazriya Zarurat. Then you can see there are the chief justices that went that are famous for that they were they felt honor to obey the direction of the Ziaul Haq. Then there were also the Musharraf, there was Ira, and you can say the many justices were on the back and call of the executive. But now the situation has changed, and thanks God, the situation is changing. Now every person has confidence that he can get his right from the judiciary if the executive denies. What is the interested with the are the responsibilities interested in the judiciary? Entrust the superior courts with an obligation to preserve, protect and defend the constitution. अपेक्स कोर्ट का जो है वो क्या है कि उनका काम है कि वो जो है वो it is their duty to preserve, interpret, protect and defend the constitution. ये ना हो कि मुशर्रफ को इसी जुडिशरी ने जिसने बाद में बहुत जुडिशियल एक्टिविज्म शो किया, they allowed Musharraf that he can change any of the required change to the constitution. Any change in the constitution is by 2/3 majority of the parliament. Look at you can say the dark history of our judiciary, but all is well that ends well. Being a Pakistani now, we are proud of our judiciary, and we can say that up to some extent now there is a balance. The executive, the legislative and the judiciary. Before this it was loop-sided, and it was loop-sided towards the executive. It consists of Supreme Court. Then there are I may have this 16 judges. One is the Chief Justice. I am not sure about this 16 or 70. One is the Chief Justice, and I think there are 15 other judges. Chief Justice is led by. There have been very interesting stories about the selection of the Chief Justice. It was it was considered in the previous history that it is the discretion of the Prime Minister to choose any of the judge to make him the Chief Justice. But in the last 5 or 6 years, it has been decided that no, now the senior most judge will be the Chief Justice after the retirement of the current Chief Justice. So if you have gone through newspaper nowadays, you can see that after the Chief Justice of Iftikhar Muhammad Chaudhry, Nawaz Sharif was helpless, and it was written on the wall that the Justice Tasaddaq Hussain Jilani will be taking over as the Chief Justice of Pakistan. The people criticize this system, and the political leader and the executive do wants that they should have some of the proportion in choosing the Chief Justice. But I think this is well and true, because as it is an independent institute and the Prime Minister has nothing to do with the judiciary. If he is going in the right way, judiciary will definitely endorse all his activities. But still our current executive, or you can say the government, is not happy with the activism of the judiciary. Look at this, how the political landscapes changes. At one time, the Prime Minister, the currently Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, he was trying hard for the restoration of the same judiciary, but when he came to power, he had not good terms with you can say the then Chief Justice Iftikhar Muhammad Chaudhry. There are high courts in 4 of the provinces. This Supreme Court resides in the federal capital, but there are registries also in the other provinces, the Karachi registry, the Lahore registry, the Peshawar registry, and the Quetta registry. High courts in all the four districts, there are four, they have their own high courts in all the four districts. High court bench can also be found in other bigger cities, like if I talk about the Multan, there is a high court bench in Rawalpindi as well as in the Multan. There is another court, that is the Federal Shariat Court. It takes the Shari Noyat ke jo muamalat hain, they are submitted to there. You can say it is it interprets the Islamic jurisprudence, and it sees whether this constitution is within the limits of the Islamic law, Islamic jurisprudence, and there is a subordinate judiciary. Of my God, बहुत बुरा हाल है. It is in a very very bad plight that there is the subordinate judiciary. So we will see that what are the root causes of this and that. Now coming to the executive branch, our concentration will be more on the executive branch. Just giving you the subordinate judiciary. One thing that the Justice Iftikhar Muhammad Chaudhry could not do, although he challenged the biggest and the powerful personnel of his time, but ultimately he could not do anything for the local people, because in the lowest judiciary, in the district courts, the people are struggling to search for the justice. Justice is being denied, and you know the justice denied is justice delayed is justice denied. Very long process and very time consuming cases are decided. No decision. I have heard very very few cases that are just decided. Only the cases decided when the two competing parties come to some of the negotiation, and ultimately they come to the compromise. Otherwise there are a very very rare example that you will see that there was the final decision. Although in the, you can say, the फौजदारी जो केसेस हैं उसमें होता है कि जी मुल्जिम को सजाए मौत हो गई, आगे जो है वो चल गया. But on the civil side there is no end to the, and over generation I can quote the live persons whose father was one of the party, and now he is the party, and it is expected, that is not a good, that his son will also be part of the party. So the executive branch starts from the president. Keep in mind that the executive is the prime minister is the executive, but as the president is the head of the state, head of the government, so we say the head of the state, he is the head of prime minister, chief executive, or you can say the head of the government. To run the country, it is not the headache of the president. In our country, in the parliamentary form of government, it is the prime minister who runs the affairs of the government, and this is the administrative part of the government. This executive branch, we talked about the legislative, we talked about the judiciary, and now we are talking about the most powerful pillar of this our political system. Then there is the federal government. The prime minister is definitely one person. He select his team, that is called the federal cabinet. He can assign any of the portfolio to any of the National Assembly member, either he is from his party or from any other party. So the federal government, the federal minister could be from the Senate also. So Ivan Bala se le le Wazir Azam Sahab ya Ivan Zirin se le le, it is his discretion. Then there is, to run the routine business of, there is a prime minister secretariat. If you go to just near the parliament, you will see a very large building of that is called the A block, B block, that is the secretariat. Many blocks there, that these are the function of the total government, but the prime minister has its own you can say the area that is different from that one, so it is called the prime minister secretariat. It is different from the general secretariat. There is the cabinet division. that is working or the following the policies of from the ministers. There are different you can say the allied departments and the divisions, and there is also the establishment division. These are the most powerful division in Pakistan. That is the cabinet division, and that is the other is the establishment division. Now, starting from the federal capital, we will talk about all this, the federal cabinet, the cabinet, federal and the establishment division. We will be talking generally about the divisions and the others. Federal cabinet, there are ministries and divisions. In the federal cabinet, there are ministries and the divisions, and further there are the attached departments. Now we will talk about this. There are ABs that are called the autonomous bodies, and there are SABs, semi-autonomous bodies. So these are the three, you can say, the hierarchy of this federal cabinet, ministries and furthers. Trends in ministries and divisions. Now we will generalize the scenario, and we will see that what have been the different trends and what is the situation of Pakistan. If we look at the worldwide basis, average of central government ministries is 16. Federal government means the central government. अगर हम पूरी दुनिया का जायजा लें तो एवरेज जो बनती है that is about up to the 16th number of ministries. There is now variation. 16 is the variation. The variation is 10 in the small Pacific countries, that are the small countries, and the 20 ministries are in the Middle East and North America. So the 10 to 20 and the average is the 16. It means the most ministry has greater than the 16. According to the average for this, if they are equal, it should be 15. It is 16, so it means that more are the greater than the 15. In Africa, the number of ministries ranges from 10 in Botswana to 28 in Nigeria. Nigeria, we देख लें कि developing countries है, but look at the Botswana, there is the number of ministries only 10. Can you imagine? Is it possible like a country of the caliber of the Botswana? And in Nigeria, that is also at the high, at the very high level of corruption, not well behind us. There are 28 in Nigeria. In Asia, it is 7 to 35. It is not even a very, you can say, the large. The minimum ebb is the 7, and it is the 35. The number of central ministries ranges from 11 to 27 in Latin America. Now I am presenting you the comparison. In Latin America, you can see that 11 to किसी भी region में कोई extreme नहीं आ रहे. If you see, the maximum is 35, that is in the Asia. Here 27 is in the Latin America. In the Pacific region, it varies from 6 to 16. Again, very small variation, and very low highest limit and the lowest limit. Pakistan की ज़रा देख लें कि हम कितने खुद कफील हैं. Pakistan in 2002 had 41 ministries. Not only the 41 ministries and 48 divisions. These are almost, although they have the lowest caliber, but we are just concentrating on the in the federal ministries. If you look at this, 41. You can't give any of the example. The highest level was in the Asia, that is, you can say, the 35. This was the rare example, and now we have the not now we have the 41, but in 2002 जब मुशर्रफ ने जो है वो ग्रुप लोगों का अपने हिमायतियों का इकट्ठा किया हुआ था to keep the happy each and every party, there were 41 ministries. In the previous government, the number increased half century. The previous government that is famous for its corruption, although it was the elected and the democratic government, but there are very high scandal scams on the media that show that each and every percent of the previous outgoing democratic government was involved in corruption one way or the other. तो उसमें 50 से भी ज़्यादा जो है वो वज़राए कराम तशरीफ़ फरमा थे. However, in February 2011, not the 23, the number of ministries is reduced to 23 by the Prime Minister. So many of the ministries were given to the provinces. Some were merged by making 2 or 3 by making 1. So it was the 23, and there was a pressure from the Supreme Court to reduce the number of the ministries because the huge money is spent on the privileges and the salaries of these. So if it restricts up to 23, it is, I think it is now optimal level for this. So now after this we will go for the organization of federal government, that what is the function of the ministries, secretaries and whatsoever. Now I would like to wind up the lecture of today, and I would give you as usual a smart summary. I think you are aware of all the things that we have just explained here. So what were the things in here? We started our discussion about the bureaucracy, but we immediately finished in the first 15 or 20 minutes of the lectures. That was just to how to improve the judiciary. That was the general mechanism for this or that. There was the criticism for this on the judiciary. Then we entered into the organization of the federal and the provincial and the local government in the Pakistan, because being a student of the public administration and the public policy, we should be clearly aware about what is the composition of all the institutions about in Pakistan. So when we talked about at the federal government, we came to know that there are 3 pillars of the federal government. The first is the legislature, the other is the executive, the other is the judiciary. 1, 2, 3 can be ranked in any of the way. The legislature consists of the 2 houses. The president is the head of the state, and it is at the head of the parliamentary system. In Pakistan, there are 2 houses that constitute the parliament. The first is the National Assembly. The other is one is the National Assembly. The other is the Senate. So if I call it in Urdu, तो parliament को जो है वो हम मजलिस शूरा कहते हैं, and the National Assembly is called the lower house or the Iwan-e-Ziri, and the Senate is called the Iwan-e-Bala or upper house. The Senate is something different from the National Assembly. I can say that totally different from the National Assembly. What is the difference between this and 2? In the National Assembly, members are elected for 5 years, and members are elected from direct vote, and each province has National Assembly seats according to their population. But the Senate has the representation of all the provinces equally. So it is one way to address the reservation and the miseries of the, you can say, the smaller province that are smaller by the population. So there are also the number of seats for the technocrats and the non-Muslims, and the total number is now 104 in the upper house, that is the Senate. Up to the National Assembly, the total number of seats is 342, and there are different, we went through that how many seats are in the Punjab and in the Sindh and the other. So definitely, as I explained, that each province has the higher number of seats according to its population. Then we started about looking at the trends in the ministries and division, and we saw that in the judiciary we saw that there are the Supreme Court, the High Courts and the lower courts, and we talked about this, that there are Supreme Court registries in other cities, and similarly there are High Court benches in other cities of the provinces also. Then we came to the legislature at the executive. The Prime Minister is the chief executive. He is at the head. He selects his team, that is called the Federal Cabinet, and Federal Cabinet as the Cabinet Division, the Prime Minister's Secretariat, and the Establishment Division. And then I have given you a brief overview of the number of ministries in many of the countries, and what we have concluded that the number of ministries is very high, has been very high in Pakistan, but nowadays the situation has been changed. It was a time when it crossed the half century, but nowadays the number of ministries has been reduced up to 23, although by making the Minister of States and divisions or such kind of things, we go above this number, but still on paper it is 23. So I will keep you teaching and informing about the trends, and the next is that the organization of federal government in Pakistan. So till that time, go through the newspaper, go through your books, use your current knowledge. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.